Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to today's conversation on Gift of Healing TV. I am delighted to be joined by my co-host, David.
Good evening, good day, everyone.
Yeah, depending on where people are.
Wherever.
Evening for all of us. And our special guest tonight, because tonight is what it is.
Yep.
In case you hadn't guessed by how dark it is in my room, actually. Neen Forder. Neen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. And hello, everybody.
It's a real pleasure. Now, Neen's chosen our topic for this evening, how to get back to love. So, Neen, share a little about yourself and why this particular topic.
Okay. Well, the topic actually came to me at that, I like to call it the magic hour. Somewhere in between 3 a.m. and 4:22 has got quite a big importance for me, because that was the time I started to experience things that led to my spiritual awakening. But I remember waking up one day and was told, you have to use Back to Love for everything you do from now on, as a brand, but more about focusing on helping people with that. And it's such a broad subject because my belief is that we are all born, we're all souls, we're all interconnected, we're all born as pure love. And as we grow up, things happen, we have experiences that can chip away at our self-esteem. So Back to Love for me is all about reconnecting us with that pureness of heart that we were born with.
Oh, no, excellent. So David, do you want to sort of add anything to that at this point?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because we're, let's say everybody, when they're born, we are just a vessel of love. We're just a vessel of spirit love. But so much of our environment, doesn't it, dictates where we go to.
Yeah.
And different periods in our life dictate different, let's say, different energies, and it puts different focus on things. And we tend to forget about the love for ourselves.
Yeah.
And the love is sometimes not shown in reciprocation during our lives. So we lose it, I think. And that way it's really hard, but it means possibly a lot of healing needs to be done on our trauma to get back to that love as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. No, I see it that we are born perfect. We are born perfect for the life that we've chosen, and we have to. It's very difficult because I know I've spoken to people. Why would I have chosen this experience?
Yeah.
Because you're thinking with your mind, your ego. You're not thinking from a soul perspective. And the soul, I don't know whether the souls think, but they don't obviously think the way we think. And it's absolutely about the love. I don't believe we're taught to love ourselves. Almost from the word go, there is nothing, not that I have many memories of my childhood at all, because of the trauma that I went through, and because I was such an unhappy child, I have so few memories. But I certainly don't have any feeling that we're encouraged to love ourselves.
That's true.
Yeah.
So sort of Neen.
Yeah. And I mean, it's bang on. We are told from a very early age. I think one of the biggest things a lot of us are told is shut up, be quiet. And that's usually said to us when we are really feeling strong emotions and verbalizing things as kids. And our parents are either too busy or not able to, and that, parents do get busy, but they're not able to necessarily respond in a way. A lot of parents are trying, because there is a change in parenting styles now. I'm a mum now, and I'm very much aware of sort of programs out there to teach kids mindfulness and relaxation and meditation. So things are shifting. But I think at some point we've all had that shut up, which in most of us gets to that point where we're then not comfortable opening up about ourselves and how we feel. And I know I work with a lot of people and kind of giving them that safe space to do that and encouraging them to open up and to be vocal. And the thing I love about helping people with getting back to love is I've seen people go from complete silence and messaging me outside and saying, I'm really sorry, I don't speak up. I'm really not comfortable in this situation, to being the first person to answer and you see that growth and development. And there's nothing quite like just seeing somebody reconnect and start to love and accept who they are, because we all deserve that. And you're right, it can be a tiny experience, or it can be something massive and traumatic, or it can be just a fleeting moment that you don't even remember. And you're right with what you said, David. There are different traumas that we have to kind of go back and heal in time as well, to kind of bring, because once we understand that, say for example, we were in a situation with our parents where they told us to shut up, they might have just been doing the best they could at the time. They might have been under huge financial stress where they were having to put on a brave face or whatever they felt they had to do. And they were doing the best they could. So it's that thing of, you not only learn compassion for yourself, but when you go back and you have the support to work on these things, you also have compassion for the other people involved as well. And I think that can be really key for a lot of people in their healing journeys.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, I think, as you say, we have so much to put up with. And when you're at school, and I don't have children, so I can't say this from an experience point of view, but children, we don't realize how things we say can be very cruel. And, it really hurts us, and we don't do it knowingly, but we don't realize how much that shuts us down as a person. And then we start loathing ourselves, and it could be, oh, you're not tall enough to do this, you're not strong enough to do that. And in the end, you start putting yourself down, and you lose the love for yourself. Yeah. And if you can't love yourself, who can you love? You've got to be able to love yourself to openly, unconditionally love others. I suppose in a way we've all been through traumas in our lives, all of us sitting here. Yeah. And we've been lucky to have been given the guidance, or, met somebody that is really giving us a lift and say, you are a beautiful person.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes you leave it here. Sorry, my camera isn't showing. But sometimes you leave the thank yous here and they don't fully get put inside and accepted inside because of that trauma. That the more we can accept those thank yous or those smiles or thank you for what you've done, that's all building our relationship back with ourselves and say, yeah, I am a decent person and I can start loving myself again. But it's so hard, isn't it? Especially at this particular time, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the really powerful exercises I've done with people in a group is the thank you exercise. And we go around the group and we say what we admire about each person. And the task of the person getting the compliment is simply hand on heart, thank you. And to practice that. And out of all the exercises, and I'm getting goosebumps just even talking about it. All the exercises we do, that's the one where there's a bit of a light bulb moment, because people go, do people really see that in me? And then there's the tears and the release of the emotions and the actually just saying thank you. Because even I've done it where like even just someone comments on your jumper, oh, nice jumper, oh, thanks, got it from a charity shop. We're conditioned, and I don't know if this is particularly English thing, but we're conditioned again, I think, through childhood to dumb it down, to bring it down a bit. And I know for me, when I was at school, I was really lucky when I was growing up that we had ponies, and we did really well. And most weekends I would go out and win. And I went to this new school, and all the girls were into horses, and they were bullies. But they said to me, "Are you good at riding?" And I turned around and said, "Yes, I am." And that was it. Because I'd said yes, then all the bullying started. And I thought, so I did the whole, oh, well, clearly you're not allowed to admit you're good at things. And then, you spend years trying to undo all of that. But even now, looking back, I remember going, funnily enough, to a show and riding a pony from the stables where they all went to. That stables held a show, and on that pony, I actually did better than most of them, but I saw them looking at me differently in a positive way. So, in hindsight, I can still remember how they looked, and now I know, obviously, people who tend to be bullies, they've got a bully themselves. And so you think, okay, this is just, or they just couldn't express themselves properly. And I think sort of that comes with experience and time and learning. You get that compassion again that I said for other people.
It's really important, isn't it? Because for me, one word can be traumatic to a child.
Yes.
Yes.
As you said, it can be you say something small, but actually that one word can be more than enough to set in motion a real trauma inside a child, whatever that might be. And having had, I'd say that the one word trauma, the physical trauma, and various other bits and pieces that happened to me in my early childhood. And I suppose I understand that because I am aware of some things that occurred, probably because of the age I was. It's more what people have told me rather than, and then I've been awareness of things. And you become that people pleaser. You will always do things for others. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to accept a compliment as much as anything. And I remember sort of, and I can't remember whether I even started this journey, or I was semi-starting this journey, but I wasn't that far along it. And I sort of said to a friend, oh, I wonder whether you could do something to help me. You haven't got to. If you need to say no, because you go into that sort of mode of, oh, no, why would anybody want to do anything for me? And I got so told off. I really did. Don't you dare do that to me. If I can do it, I will. If I can't, I won't. But at the same time, I also received an angel card, which was let yourself receive. But that card to me explained it better. You get so much pleasure from giving to others. Give others the pleasure of giving to you. And it was just like, oh,
yeah,
okay, fine. But it came at the same time, but afterwards. And and at one stage, I remember a client saying to me, and I've said this to so many people, you are special. You are no more special than anybody else in this world. We're all special in our own unique way. And it's that understanding. And this client turned around to me and said, oh, you are special. I said, I know, thank you. But there was actually, and they knew me well enough. There was absolutely no conceit in that.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. Because I feel so blessed with the gifts that I bring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I have come from that negative space. And the healing that my inner child has required for me to get to this point.
Yeah.
And people can do it for themselves to a certain degree, but there are going to be those who require a little bit of help.
Mm-hmm.
You have to realize, as with all of us, we are not healers, but the energies we bring, the thoughts, the wisdom, the suggestions. I don't make it, I don't give advice, I make suggestions. Those things that we bring can empower that self-healing.
Yeah.
So if folks listening to this program listen to the things that are being said, and it's just like, if you choose to take those things on board, because it really is important to realize that we are all amazing beings of light. Our soul is connected, so therefore we are connected to source, to the all that is, to that amazing love. And that is who we really are.
Yeah. Yeah. And you made a really lovely point when you said about that angel card you got, because I've explained to people that if you can just say thank you when somebody gives you a compliment, subconsciously what you're doing is saying to that person, I value your opinion, and what you've said is important, and I like that you've acknowledged that light in me that you can, because it's the thing of you can only see in somebody else what you've experienced. So there's that element, but and also on the flip side, if you are quick to dismiss somebody's compliments, subconsciously you're saying, I don't believe what you're saying is not true, and you're not speaking truth. That you could be subconsciously, I don't want to say doing more damage, but it's just, if you can say just thank you, you have no idea the positive impact that can have on that person. And it encourages you to give more compliments too. And actually, there's something I love to do. And I'll just share this quickly now if I can, that if you just get a jar, and in one of my journals I've got this beautiful picture of a gorgeous jar, when in reality it was still a coffee stained Dow Egberts, so on the other page I say, this is what I really started with. It doesn't have to look like that. It can, but just get any jar, and anytime anybody says something nice or that uplifts you, whether it's online, in person, as simple as like your hair, like that bag, like you, whatever, or really in-depth, write it down, put it on a slip, put it in the jar, and then on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, take that out and read it, and take every single one out, because it sets you up really well for the year ahead. And I like to do that rather than kind of going out and going to a party and all that malarkey, because it's more aligned with who I am now. And I love doing that every year, to just remind myself of all the good that there is out there and all the lovely things people have said and done. And I think it's a really nice way to start the year. So that's something that I just really enjoy doing. And, I need to actually, and saying that, I'm thinking it's October and I haven't been doing it for a while. I need to get back in the habit, but it is something that, me saying it's reminded myself to keep on doing it, because it does help.
Yeah.
It's really quite interesting, because a lot of this is allowing yourself to be your true, authentic self as well, isn't it?
Totally.
Because, like I say, as we put down, you can't do that, we lose contact with ourselves, and we lose contact with our authentic selves. And when we're our true, authentic selves, we can just allow that love to go out, because we're feeling free and we feel good in ourselves, and we know that energy will ripple out from us. When we're happy and we love ourselves, that energy just ripples out to all our environment. So we're not just doing ourselves good by loving ourselves and being true to ourselves, but we're also helping that environment around us, and therefore helping others. So everybody, I suppose, on this planet is a healer in some way.
Yeah.
just by being themselves and loving themselves. And I know there are difficult times, and I know people are going through a lot of traumas and transitions just now. But if we can just love ourselves, because you got to pat yourself on the back and say, that's another day I've got through.
Yeah.
You know, this is sometimes it's a difficult daily life for many people, and we put ourselves down and we lose that love. But if we just say at the end of the day, boy, I've done well to get through another day. Look, I'm here, I've helped somebody, and we get that love for ourselves back, then we just spread that out, don't we?
We do. We really do. And, you know, I had something at the start of this year where it was a really traumatic event, and it happened to tie in with exactly the time that I decided to start doing my meditation groups, my journaling groups, and start getting myself out there. And I was having to do these groups, leading and teaching, or not sharing, not teaching, because it's sharing what we all know instinctively, just guiding people to reconnect with themselves. So it was right when I started doing all of that this trauma was going on. And I knew on a soul level, I'm like, you're having to live this so that you can actually prove, not that you know what you're talking about, that would be the ego way of saying it, but so that you can prove that this works, because you can show by example. And plus, you need this, and what you're teaching is exactly what you need to hear right now. And it was absolutely what I needed to hear to help me through. And that had never happened to me before. I'd never been in that position where there was something major going on that could be viewed as negative, but all I knew is it was major, and I had to get through it day by day, even minute by minute. At the same time I was putting myself out there, it was like, you can be your own teacher with this. You know, you've got the answers. We're giving you the stuff you need. We're downloading the meditations you need. By the way, listen to them yourself. You know, and it was this amazing thing of, I had all that stuff going on, but all the support suddenly came in, and my friends, I reached out to them, they rallied around, and it's all alleviating and lifted, and it's so much brighter and happier now because I allowed. And I was able to sort of step back a bit and think, okay, don't start letting this trauma be your story of who you are and what's going on, because you've got all this other stuff going too. So it was really interesting for me that the way that the universe just came through and just, well, the way that the universe came through, so I can't say it any better.
No.
I think really it's a matter of you trusted the universe. And when we do that, any situation we go through can be easy or very difficult.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the easy is easy, but it's not very difficult. It could be a lot worse. But it's trusting with any situation that it could be different, and that different could be an awful lot worse.
Yeah.
But I'm also a great believer in, don't look for or wait for praise from others. Praise yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that because I think it's a good idea. I'm saying that's because I do that for myself on a daily basis. It's, you've done really well this morning. You've got so much done, and at the end of the day, actually, do you know what? You've done really well today. Yeah. And I may do that 2, even sometimes 3 times in a day. I am not waiting for somebody to tell me I've done well. Bearing in mind, I'm usually the only one who knows what I've done. So there isn't anybody else to say it. But it doesn't matter. What are we doing for ourselves? Yeah. And when stuff is going on, back in, I think it was June, it might have been July, anyway, I was driving back from seeing my mother for the day in Devon. and I ended up with a flat tire. I called out the AA, and this was at 6 o'clock at night. So lovely light evenings, brilliant. Not by the time they got to me, 5 hours later. In fact, my friend Trevor had decided to drive from Bournemouth the hour and a half to get to me to help me to change the tyre, because I was getting absolutely no joy with the recovery, with the rescue service I pay for. But do you know what? A number of people said, "Oh, Sarah, sort of the stress you must have gone through." No. I couldn't put the radio on because I was risking a flat battery. I hadn't got anything to read. I hadn't got anything in the car to do. Nothing but sit there and wait. And because they said to me, "Oh, actually, can you get out the car and stand behind a barrier?" I said, "No, I'm in a country piece of country with a lay-by." I actually happened to be in a lay-by, which was grateful. There's no barrier. There's nowhere to go and stand. And it was an evening that we had constant showers and tip down. And there was nowhere. And I said, "I am not getting out of my car. Well, will you please at least sit in the passenger seat rather than the driver's side?" Because the driver's side was on the nearest to the road. And I totally understood why they were saying what they were saying. Because there are people who've been broken down in cars, and some idiot's gone into the back of them. I absolutely got that. But to leave me there on my own for 5 hours, and it was pitch black by the time. But I was able to be relaxed. Maybe because I am also very good at daydreaming, but it was also, sort of waiting for those calls, waiting for those messages. When are they going to arrive? But I was really, really proud of myself for getting through that. And at one time after it had rained, it was beautiful. It was actually almost like a triple rainbow.
Oh, lovely.
So I was being watched over. I was being taken care of. And I stayed in that place of acceptance. But it's not necessarily easy, but I could have made that 5 hours a living hell. I chose not to.
Can I share a car analogy thing as well? Because I love how this happens, because we haven't discussed anything really before we talk. But back in, I think, funnily enough, February, it was the catalyst of this trauma thing. Anyway, our car just gave up the ghost, and we kept trying new ways to get it fixed. And we got this friendly mechanic out. Hubby drove up to a garage and said, "Can someone please come out and look at my car, because I can't get it here." And this friendly mechanic came out and said, "It's going to cost you loads to get it back on the road. You can't live where you do without a car. I've got one sat at home. If I get it so that it gets through an MOT, get it roadworthy, you can have it. We'll do a part exchange for 500 quid. And we said, "Thank you very much. That's amazing." That was great. Had that car until about 2 months ago, when it was really weird. I said to my eldest son, come with me to pick up your brother from nursery. And he had this reaction that it just came out of nowhere. He burst into tears and said, "No, that car smells. I want a new car." And I got cross and said, "Well, there's no way we're going to get a new car at the moment. I'd like a new car too, but that's just not going to happen." 20 minutes later, I'm driving along the road. The bonnet flew up, smashed the windscreen to smithereens, bent the roof of the car. But I was in a place where I just instinctively knew there was a really wide verge to the left, and I could pull over. And I sat there, and the shock kicked in a bit later, but I had a moment, and my honest first thought was, "That's how we get a new car then, is it?" And it was. And I remember the lady brought my son from nursery, and she stopped and came and said, "How are you getting home?" And I went, "You take me home?" And I was completely and utterly just like, something will work out. Yeah. And then, we've ended up with another car. And again, but then I had this situation where I locked the key in the car and I was at work. And I didn't realise you could still lock keys in cars, but apparently you can. And I went and I asked the guys at the distillery, I said, can you do anything to help? So they're trying to break in. And at the same time, I'm calling the RAC, waiting for hours, being told it's going to cost hundreds. Phoned hubby, who phoned the friendly mechanic, who said, get on eBay. And he got a replacement window for 35 quid. So they're like, just break the window and we'll just put the new window in. And it was like, so I kept thinking, oh, there's this broken glass thing going on. But again, 2 days later, somebody reversed and broke my back light. But I went over to him and he went, go around to this garage. They know me. I'll just cover it, love. Just get the replacement. And I did. And within 3 days, it was done. But my point being, I had lots of people go, you're not having much luck, are you? Whereas actually, I'm there going, really? Kind of think I am, actually. Because look at all this stuff that happened. Somebody said, you can't live out here without a car. I'll sort you out with a car. Thanks, universe. We all knew that other car was on its way out because it was getting old. And it did it in the safest way. I was in the car on my own, the widest verge in the world, to just pull over. It was safe. And I was fine. So, and it's really interesting. That's the whole thing about perspective again. So many people had said to me, oh, you're not having much luck. And I have to put actually, without being smug face, actually, I disagree. I think I am having quite a bit of luck because it's happening just as it's meant to.
Yeah.
And things are unfolding and things are easy. Like the thing with the guy reversing into me, he said, go to the garage. I went straight round to the garage. The guy sorted it 3 days later. Problem solved. Not a big deal. And it is about that surrendering and that trust and connect. And that's the whole point for when I say surrendering and trust, that is connecting to source, which is love.
Yeah.
For me, that is that amazing connection. So again, it's funny that you mentioned about the car thing and your reaction, because I was much the same, where I was sort of almost shoulder shrugging and like, oh well, is what it is.
Yeah. Oh,
whereas
just David. Hopefully he will get back in.
I hope so. But no, whereas we could have both just gone, this is awful.
Yeah. Seriously, when I was seeking support, and that particular lady sort of said to me, you never know when you are being lucky. And it's some of the worst possible things can actually turn out to be the best possible.
Yes.
So it really is about find the positive in everything. There is a reason. So David, have you got a story you'd like to share?
Yeah, sorry I disappeared.
All right,
you're back now.
I didn't panic.
No, good. We didn't either.
I knew the love was there. So, going back to what you said, and I think it relates into people can get into quite dark places very easily, and we take our vibrations down, and we can say, oh, we've had a really rough day. But what I've started to do, and it's part of a mindfulness training that I'm going through, is just at the end of the day to put one thing down as a gratitude.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and you go to sleep with that positive thought in your mind, whether it's I've had a good day today, or whether I love myself today, whatever it is. And that really holds into you. I've had loads of experiences where I have got worked up, but I've learned at recent times it's not worth it, because you block the offers that's coming in your way. You go, oh, this isn't happening. And of course it doesn't happen. you know, where if you just stay, as you said, relaxed and open, which has taken me a time to do, then that support comes in so easily. But also just writing that gratitude of one good thing in that day, you go to sleep with gratitude and a positive thought. And that really does bring yourself back to, that was a great thing I done, not in an ego way, but I've got through this, and it sits in your body, and it just really has an effect on you, because you'll wake up the next morning and think, yeah, that little gratitude, whatever it was, someone told me they liked me, someone said, oh, you know, whatever it is, and it really does make a change to your well-being. And that's how I've started negating, let's say, things that haven't gone my way. I'll just put it that way,
Yeah.
or the way that I'm expecting it to.
Yeah.
Because it goes the way it needs to, but sometimes we get frustrated. And you don't want it to go that way, but that's the way it's got to go.
Yeah.
So if you just put that gratitude down, you wake up and think, yeah, that was a good day. So what's coming good today for me? And it starts bringing it in, and it really starts lifting your soul and lifting your heart, doesn't it?
It really
To that
does.
higher vibration.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, because I'm thinking back to last year. Yeah, blessed last year. The tire was this year. This was last year. And I was sort of walking my niece's dog, and I went flying. It was not the dog's fault. I have had to say this so often. It was not the dog's fault. I went flying, and I literally hit the ground, sort of nose first, and broke 2 front teeth. So the blood was actually splitting my lip. It wasn't actually from my nose, because I was thinking, oh my God, you know, have I broken my nose? And I ended up with grit in both palms, a sprained wrist, bruises, knees grazed, you know, sort of, and bruised ribs. I'm surprised I didn't end up with black eyes, to be perfectly honest, but I didn't, gratefully. I didn't end up like a panda. The bruised ribs, oh boy, they hurt. But I was due to be going down to see my mum and meet up with some of the other family I hadn't seen for a couple of years because of COVID and whatever. And it was just like, there's no way I can drive with a sprained wrist and with everything else. It would just not be safe. And I just looked at it and thought, okay, well, it's one heck of a way of stopping me from driving. But so I just had to apologize to the family and just say, I'm not coming down. We had a family call via the internet. So because I hadn't seen some of my nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews for 2-3 years. So that was a real shame. Then just after that, I had a bump in the car, which put the car off the road for 10 weeks.
Oh, wow. So
it was a minor bump, but because the bonnet couldn't be undone, and apparently it's illegal to drive a car if you cannot undo the bonnet to get to the engine. Yeah, I didn't know that. But sadly, my friend did. But okay, so that kept me off the road for 10 weeks. Oh, don't go into the issues I had with that. But do you know what? And again, I was hoping to get down for my mother's 85th birthday. The family were getting together, and it was, I'm really sorry, I can't come down. I have not got a car to come down in. But again, it was, okay, fine. There is a really good reason I am being kept off the road for 10 weeks. And accepting that. And I remember for my mum's 80th, her best friend from school, who was my godmother, and sadly who's since passed, but a godmother, and she rang me on the day and she said, oh, what time's the thing today? I said, we're just about to leave to go round to, and she'd got to come from sort of South Wales to Bournemouth. And I said to her, and she's a nun, she was a nun, and I said to her, we're really going to miss you. I really wish you were going to be with us, but I think you're being told to stay off the road to keep you safe. And with what happened with your car, my reaction to that is, what happened, but could have been something considerably worse if you got a few foot further down the road.
Yeah.
no idea. And so it's thinking about, you're in a hurry and those traffic lights go red. My reaction to that is, somebody requires it more than I do.
Yeah.
I'm being kept safe, or they're clearing the road in front of me.
Yeah. And you have to trust those instincts, don't you, that you get? Because I had it one day where I felt like I had to go out, excuse me, and get the shopping. And I really didn't want to. But I got in the car and I was going on my own. And within a couple of miles, this first car came around the corner and its trailer swayed as it came around the corner and nearly hit me. And I was talking to my guardian angel anyway at this time. I was like, blimmin' it, that was close. He's like, maybe you should go home. I'm like, no, it's okay, it's fine, I'm going to carry on. And then about another half a mile down the road, a lorry came past and threw up a big stone that just knocked against the car, didn't break the windscreen. And I heard crystal clear my angel go, that was your second warning. You don't want a third. Turn around. Go home. And I did. And I came back and I said to hubby, I said, I was told very clearly, just don't bother. Shopping's not important today. And you do. If you get those nudges, sometimes I'll ask hubby, I'm not feeling that road today. Are you? He's like, I was just about to say that. And you don't want to know why. That you don't care about why. Just trust it.
Yeah.
Trust those gut feelings. So it takes 5-10 minutes longer. Doesn't matter. Just trust it.
I think we can get into analytics too much in our head, can't we?
Yeah.
And try and analyze it. And
the human
I don't drive anymore, so in a way I'm quite pleased. And I have my personal chauffeur sort of thing. So but there's many a time where I think, oh, I've missed the bus, or I've got on the wrong train. But when you look, the discomfort or the difficulty you've had on that bus or afterwards is a lot less than what it would be, because I know I missed the train coming up from my mum and dad's when they were alive, and I was travelling back up to Scotland and I missed the train. I just had a bit of a medical thing, missed the train, so I got on the next one, and that went straight through. The other one broke down and was stuck on the rails for another 2 hours. So you never know why you're being delayed. So, I think although it's frustrating, the universe works in a wonderful way, and it doesn't always speak English.
No.
And it doesn't always speak Dutch, or it doesn't always speak Welsh. It speaks its own language, and if you can listen to it, you can get so much guidance from it and relax and say, okay, I'm not meant to be on that bus for whatever, be on that train.
Hello. He's dropped and come back.
It makes you feel so much better, and you don't get frustrated, because if you get frustrated, your body gets frustrated and it becomes ill.
Yeah.
And we can alleviate so much of our unwellness. So should we say, if that's a word, we can relieve so much of our unwellness by not getting ourselves worked up and just accepting, okay, this is meant to be at this time. It may be a disappointment, you can't get to somebody's on time, but you're going to get to them or get to the place at the time you need. And I think if you can relax into that, that makes you feel so much better in your well-being.
Oh, it does. It really does. And I have to say, David, as well, when my car thing happened with the bonnet, I thought to myself, okay, what do I have in the car that I can help myself with? Well, there was a kiddie's chocolate that I ate because I could feel my body had started to go into the shock, because I sat outside the car. I'm like, oh, actually, this is pretty bad, and I don't think this is going to come back from this. But what I did find was a very nearly empty bottle of one of your Oramis sprays, and it was so nearly empty that actually what I did is I took the top off and I went like that over my head so that the drips went on. I think it was the Divine Healing one, because I thought, okay, and you know what? That's why I was, and people were quite surprised at how chilled out I was about the whole thing. I was like, it's fine. You know?
Oh, that's
And it
wonderful.
helped. So thank you, because I was there going, okay, I don't have my, I don't have a rescue remedy. I couldn't find all the other stuff. And, of course, the car was full of all the inflatable bath toys for the flipping beach. And, it was like...
Yeah.
But, but I found that. And honestly, it just felt like the right thing to do was to do that, get the last few drops on my head and just take a minute and wait and see what happened. And that's when the lady drove past from nursery and said, how are you getting home? And I hopped in the car and said, well, with you.
Oh my goodness.
It helped so much. So thank you, because it did. It
Oh,
just...
bless you. Can I just say, if anybody's going to use the mist, really don't pour them over your head when you've got a full bottle.
No, I'd used it so much, because I tell you what, I loved having it in the car because it was really good for keeping the sibling rivalries down. So every so often it'd be like, oh look, doesn't that smell nice, kids? Oh yeah, Mum, spray it on me. So yeah.
But is it?
Oh, I'm glad
love?
it's coming to help.
Yeah.
This is all about love, though, isn't it? It's about being able to relax with yourself.
Yeah.
Relax with situations. Relax with everything, because when you are, I think relaxation is about love, isn't it?
It is.
Because you think, okay, fine, it is what it is,
and you trust yourself as well more.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, for me, like the opposite of love feels like fear. And I had many years in fear until I randomly had this very strong visual of how, if you saw every single day, so imagine you've got a row of dots and every single day is a dot, and the size of the dot depends on what's happening. So the traumatic events are massive big dots, but if you're fearing them coming and you're making every day that little bit more rubbish by having bigger dots, it looks much better when it's written down or in front of you as a visual. And but it just came to me, I realized that the fear I was feeling about everything, like worrying about the what ifs all the time, was making every day that much worse. Yeah. And that if I released that fear and just waited, and I think it was because my grandmother died, I think there was something about her passing that just helped me get some perspective almost. But and a lot of our fear comes because we don't trust how we're going to react in situations. And by not, because it's not necessarily if that thing happens, because that thing's either going to happen or not. It is that, we've heard this said before a lot, it's how you react to things that impacts it. But a lot of fear is you just don't trust that you can cope. And you don't trust that you've got it in you to come up with the best solution or to surrender. And the only way you find that is by being tested. But you can do things to help yourself to feel that love for yourself and trust for yourself. And what you were just saying, that's surrendering and relaxation. You start to realize, actually, you can cope with that. I did cope with the car bonnet doing that really well, actually. I didn't freak out. There was nothing I could do. And you do get to a certain point where you go, I've done all I can. Can't do any more. Yeah. Come on, you guys, help out. And they will. They always do. Yeah. They always do. And it's amazing.
I think we beat ourselves up so much, don't we? We're so good at it. We're so good at giving ourselves bruises and giving us it's like you go to when I was in the corporate world, you go to the test and they say, well, give a list of all your good points and a list of all your weak points. And your weak points are like this, and your good points are down here. But we are so clever, whether we're, I don't know, taught to be that way, or we're in a culture to put ourselves down. And that's why we put other people down as well, easily, because it feels more comfortable. I don't know, but we've got to turn that round and start saying, I'm good at this and you're good at this, and building people up. Yeah. like you say, that simple thank you, or that simple, your hair's really good today, you know, those are simple things that everybody can do to start spreading this love around and raising everybody's um, vibes, you know, everybody's frequency, and getting them to love again themselves from outside recognition, because we are so clever at putting ourselves down and putting others down, and it takes that love for ourselves and compassion away.
Yeah.
And all it needs is these simple techniques, but they're so powerful, of just a smile at somebody, and that could make their day, you know. um, that may be the only smile they see or the only person they see. And that really can lift ourselves, lift our bodies, lift our minds, lift our soul. And then we get back to vibrating out that love for ourselves and love for other people. So we can do things for others and ourselves just by building other people up and
Yeah.
not putting them down.
Yeah. And you never know, honestly, I've still had things that people said to me that I met once that have lasted years later. And I kind of feel that every single time I remember that that person said that, that I'm sending them a wave of love back. And this has been countless times over 20 years, the one thing somebody said.
Mm.
And so I no longer care whether I seem like the weirdo on the bus who will say to somebody, you're really good at making people feel calm, or whatever it may be. I don't mind, because I know that I am sharing what feels true for me.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't even try anymore, because I used to say to people, if you as you just said, if you try to, well, not if you try to, but if you do this, it helps. I used to go out there and make a point of, today I'm going to try and make one person smile. Whereas now it just happens naturally that it's just in me, because that's what I want to do. And I know how, because it makes me feel nice too when I see their reaction, knowing that actually maybe that's something positive and they really needed to hear that today. Because you can see where I find parents do it to each other, where you get that look if your kid's having a meltdown, and I had it the other day, mine was, and at least 3 women came up and said, you're doing a good job. We've all been there. And that was great. That's just what you need to hear when you're there, sort of thinking, okay, what do I do here? Just let you carry on having a meltdown? Okay.
Join in.
Yeah, I love that like that old advert. It's so tempting to do that.
Yeah.
It really is. I've had my moments where it has been. Actually, we did in the car the other day. The kids were just winding each other up and they started screaming. And you know what? I felt like screaming too, so I did. And then we all laughed because we were all screaming as loud as we could in the car. No one else could hear it. Well, they might have done, I don't know. But it was such a good release. And that's another thing, again, a childhood thing, the whole shut up. Sometimes we do need a really good scream.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think one of the things that was cropped in my mind was, think about what you're saying to yourself. And there's that saying, isn't there, about sort of, be careful what you're saying. You are listening.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if, and I keep having to say this to one of my sisters. She, no, you know, and she's not necessarily particularly polite. She does say it with a smile, but you know, and there are things that she sort of says, and I think, I keep thinking, please don't use that. Don't say that to yourself. And this, you know, the saying says, you know, sort of, because it doesn't understand that difference between something that's said with a smile and something that's said with anger. It's listening to the words. And so it's so important to be that supportive of yourself. It's like, okay, no, that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but do you know what? You've now learned from that, and you can be encouraging of yourself.
Yeah, and don't beat yourself up for saying that thing. Yeah,
whatever it is, because you should not be putting yourself down, even in a joke or light-hearted way, because you're feeling the energy of the words, not the energy of you think you're putting behind those words.
Yeah.
So it's, stop calling myself daft and stupid and all those type of things, because, it's just like, no, it's we're better than that. And we are close to time. And I really, really hope that within our stories, yes, we've been able to get to that point where, I'm not saying we'd manage it every time,
No.
but we are getting there. You can get there too. So Neen, have you got any final words before we sort of wrap up?
There's something that comes to me quite a lot. And it can feel awkward when you start on your journey of loving yourself, because you will find, as you know, as we were just talking about, that you will start to pick yourself up for things. Try to treat yourself with the love that you would give a child who is learning something for the first time, or your best friend. But if you've got a really cheeky relationship with your best friend where you say, oh, come on, you silly cow, pack that in, maybe don't do that so much. But, just really compassion. And that means feeling into your heart and what your heart really needs from you right now. And being okay to give yourself what you need, whether that's time, whether that's a hug, whether that's a chat with friends, or whether that's a scream. And don't judge yourself for whatever comes up. Kind of be okay to feel whatever it is you're feeling. And don't hold on too much to picking yourself up. If you notice that you've said something about yourself that's not as positive as you'd like, don't beat yourself up. Just learn, move on, and know that it is a process. And you have your up days and your down days and your blips. But actually, it's so rewarding when you can get there to surrender, because I used to try so hard to surrender. But surrendering isn't trying. But you've got 100% success rate of succeeding. And you know that because you're here. So trust that you can get through whatever you need to, because you've already got 100% success rate at this thing called life.
David, any final words?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Neen. It's lovely to see you on here. And thanks for all your wisdom and the laughter. And it's really funny, you were speaking about words, and just before we came live, I put a post up, and it's just the inspiration that come through, and it's so relating to tonight. And it was words are energy, energy is frequency. What frequency are you talking at? And just fitted in. And I didn't realize it would fit in so much with tonight. But yeah, keeping that frequency up is just what we all need to do. Yes, it's tough, but we've also got to give ourselves praise for getting through another day and giving ourselves one bit of gratitude at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of, I'm going to put Neen's, David's, and my website addresses under the video if you're watching on YouTube. They're on the website at the moment, Gift of Healing TV. Under today's conversation, you'll find sort of, again, the information all under there. If you wish to connect with any of us, please do. That's why we do these, so that sort of folks, these are here to support. That's why we do these programs. So please, and that's why we don't charge for them. That's why it's all free to watch, because it's really important that we feel this message gets out to people, so that people can support themselves. We all have to participate in our own journey. That's really, really important. So please feel free to connect with someone if you're feeling drawn to. Next week, the program is actually going to be at 7:30 in the morning here in the UK, because my guest is in Australia. So I love doing this. It's worldwide. And my guest is Liara Covert, the power of breathwork plant medicine. And I can't for the life of me pronounce the last word, so I'm not even going to try. But I'm looking forward to that. That will be at 7:30 in the morning next Wednesday. And today's conversation that will sort of follow the week after. So thank you, Neen.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care. Be safe. Stay well. See you soon. Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bye.